Hey everybody, it's Fox with FoxeoGames, and this is Dark Souls Remastered, Episode 1. Thought I'd take a look at the remaster, specifically on PC, and compare it to the original on PC. Now, the biggest difference for a lot of people is obviously that the game plays in a reasonably decent quality now. It's not, locked to internal 720p and 30 frames per second. It's now 60 FPS. But guess what, guys? With the DS Fix mod that you can install for the original PC version, you can actually go to almost any frame rate, although anything above 30 can cause some minor issues. There were minor issues in certain jumps at 60, but I actually played at 72 frames per second, not 720. That'd be crazy. And am I crazy? Don't answer that. I'm going to pick the warrior because that's normally what I do. I am a warrior. I am the warrior. Heart to heart, we win. Something like that. That's an old 80s song, guys. Look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. Slim. We're going to go with the Far East Traveler. Pick some light brown. No. Short hair and dark brown. And yeah, that's good. Okay to start game with this character. Guess what? It is. I give my permission. It's okay. Let's do it. So we're going to skip cutscenes and skip through dialogue. You guys don't want to see that stuff. You don't need to see that stuff. You can go to anyone else to see that stuff. You can go to a German Spy or Epic Name Bro or Vati Vidya or any of those other guys. They will take care of you there, all right? So if you want to know all about the lore and the conversations with the characters and all of that jazz, go elsewhere. But don't leave. Stay here, too, at the same time, if that makes any sense. This is our character, guys. I have Reshade installed, so the game will have some different lighting. Sorry, I just didn't feel like uninstalling that. So this will look a little modified compared to the normal one. Today's drink of choice is actually going to... Well, hang on. Let me just pour some more in here. Sorry, guys. I didn't have this ready. I gotta pour some coffee in here. Some dark Starbucks espresso, ground up in a coarse ground, put through. Oh, that's good. That's good. A French press with some frothed up half and half. Oh, that's very good. That's very good. All right, so this is it, guys. We're gonna get rid of some junk here so we can run fast, roll fast, be fast. The faster, the better. You know what I'm talking about? At least that's what my girlfriend told me the other night. I'm kidding. That's just a joke. Maybe. Let's climb this ladder. So, some of the key differences, obviously, the standout ones the standout ones are the graphics. Obviously, you can go up to higher resolutions. You can hit that 60 frames per second, which to me, I consider to be the minimum acceptable frame rate for an action game. Note I said an action game. This is an action game. There's action in it. So, it qualifies as an action game. Any game that requires, fast reflexes, twitch reflexes, if you follow twitch.tv. No, I'm kidding. That Twitch just means quick, fast. So you do need 60 frames per second really to get the best out of the game and experience. Well, not the best, but to get a decent, good quality game and experience in an action game that requires fast reflexes. Some people will disagree with me, but I'm sorry, 30 FPS just doesn't cut it. Greater than 60, oh, that's great. That's perfect. Greater than 60 is a good thing. Getting shot with an arrow in the chest is not, so don't do that. I did that to show you what you shouldn't do. Don't get shot with an arrow, guys. It's bad for you. You get an infection, all sorts of bad stuff. Once gangrene sets in, then you're really in trouble, because the healthcare in Lordran absolutely sucks. Lordran is the world of Dark Souls, for those that don't know. If you are new to Dark Souls, this probably isn't the best playthrough to watch, but you'll get a lot out of it. You'll enjoy it. I'll enjoy it. We'll all have a lot of fun. I guarantee it, but there's nothing I'm putting on that guarantee. There's no money. There's no cash back. There's no refunds available. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. If you don't enjoy this, oh well. By the way, you don't want to get hit by that rolling ball, so you can dodge it. And now, now we're kind of medium rolling. There are 3 rolling speeds. They call them fast roll, medium roll, and fat roll. I prefer the fast roll. I can deal with medium. I just don't like it, but I can deal with it. I offer my apologies to poor Oscar. He was gonna die anyway, guys, so it's okay, Alright, by the way, whether you kill him or not, he will die. And when he does die, you get 100 souls from his death, because anytime something dies in this game, you get credited for it. Oh, that's some really good coffee. It's almost like a flat white or a cafe latte or something like that. Yeah, anytime something dies, no matter how it dies, you actually get credit for it. Whether a player that you've summoned kills it, whether you kill it, whether another enemy somehow manages to kill it, which doesn't happen that often, or if it falls off a cliff, you always get credit for it. So, one case where an enemy will kill other enemies is the Hellkite Dragon. When the Hellkite Dragon breathes fire and kills all the enemies on the bridge, you get credit for that. By the way, if you start with a class other than Warrior and you really, really, really want the Longsword because it is one of the best weapons in the Souls series, bar none, it is a great, great weapon. It was best in this game. They kind of nerfed it in Dark Souls 2 and 3, but it's still great here, great in Demon Souls. You can farm it on this guy if you want it immediately. Like, if you want it right away, you can farm this guy. Obviously, it's easier to not farm him and move on and just kind of hope you get it from some of the other enemies. But if you want it ASAP, you can grab it right there. He will drop it eventually. It's all randomized. It's that RNG, guys. We're going to do a plunge attack. So, we are playing in beautiful 60 frames per second. So much better than 30. I play at 1080, 1920 by 1080, because that's the maximum resolution of the monitors that I have. I really should be moving on to 1440p, because I have a GTX 1080. Oh, shoot! That was not a good dodge timing. That was, though. Oh, I know what's throwing me off. It's that mid-roll. Oh, ran out of the staminas. And I win. Look, it looks like me in real life. That looks like me in real life, except I have a few more wrinkles than that. And my eyes aren't empty sockets, they're actually eyeballs in them. Use the big Pilgrim's Key to get out. Now, what is unfortunate is that this isn't really a fair criticism, because FromSoft didn't create the DS Fix mod. FromSoft just made the PC version of Dark Souls, the original PC version of Dark Souls, suck compared to what it should have been. You know, the reason the PC version of Dark Souls was so bad is because it basically performed and looked like the consoles. So that should just give you an idea how much better the PC is supposed to be. Everyone bitched and moaned about how bad it was because it looked like the consoles. PC gamers expect better, they deserve better, because they paid for better. They paid more for their hardware, and we expect better. We also want options. We want lots of graphical options to customize the game to look like what we want. The DS Fix mostly did that for us. It took a while for, the guy's name was Durante, that's his online handle. He made the DS Fix mod. It took a while for him to kind of perfect it, but he eventually perfected it and included frame rate modifier, so you could get 60, 72, or even higher. Although, like I said, I think I mentioned it earlier, if you did 60 FPS, it would throw off some of the jumps and rolls, so you'd actually have to turn it off to make a few jumps in the game, and then turn it back on. But you could just do that with the click of a key. One key press and boom. So it wasn't a big deal. Not really sure where we're going to go with this, but I usually improve endurance and dexterity early on, unless I know for sure I'm doing something else. So we're going to make a few of what they call suicide runs. That's where you basically run to grab some stuff, and you don't care if your character dies or not, because it doesn't matter, because we're not in human form. I don't have any humanity in my soft stock up there. You can see it says 00 in the upper left corner. And I really don't have any souls. 57 is nothing. It's nothing. Now, $57, that's something. Unless you're a Democrat, like, you know, who was it that said it? Elizabeth Warren or Nancy Pelosi? One of them said that $1,000 back on your taxes is nothing. It's crumbs. Well, I don't know about you all, but for me, $1,000 is a lot of money. I'm sorry, it just is. It is for me. Maybe for her it's not. Anyway, we're not here to talk politics like I usually do. We're here to play Dark Souls. And nothing is more controversial than Dark Souls. No, it's actually not. It's not that controversial. But what we're going to do is run up here and grab a few things real quick. We're not going to take the trek down to the, what is it called? Blight Town, because we don't need to. But I am going to grab that, and I'm going to stop hitting the wrong button. Sorry, I've been playing Code Vein, guys. And if you know Code Vein, it doesn't use the shoulder buttons. But you do use the shoulder button to run. So I'm trying to run by hitting the shoulder button. And yeah, I guess it's called the right bumper. So that's the thing. Getting used to different games that are similar in nature. If you haven't played Code Vein, check out the video I did on it. Is it worth buying? Well, it's 30% off if you're watching this video right now. It still should be 30% off on Steam. I can tell you that Code Vein is a very interesting game. It is definitely worth checking out if you think you'll enjoy another Souls-like, but just be aware there's a lot of bullshit in it. I'm telling you, a lot of dying because it's just really, really unfair and stupid and over the top, and they're trying too hard to kill you. You know what I mean? Watch this. I always die there. I think once maybe I got away. What's that about? Why's he got to be like that? Why can't he just love? Why does he always have to be hating? He's sitting there. There's all this good loot right there. Of course you're going to try to grab it. And then what does he do? He kills you. He swats you and kills you. I have to ask, what's the benefit to the undead dragon? What does he gain from it? Probably nothing. So he's just a total asshole is really what he is. I mean, how else can you explain that? All right, another suicide run. Suicide run number 1. Number 2 is coming next. For those that didn't know, 2 comes after 1. That's also true in the bathroom most of the time. I so gotta get used to these controls, guys. Notice I sent this elevator back up. So some of the other changes they made were in multiplayer. You can now have up to, I think, 6 players active in one world at the same time, whereas before, I believe it was, what, 4? Was it 4? Guys, it's been a while. Believe it or not, the most playing I've done of this game has been with my son. And I haven't seen him in a little while. That's unfortunate, but I'm taking care of that as quickly as I can. For those that don't know, and I can't say a lot about it, don't want to say a lot about it, I'm not married anymore, and that's a great thing. I tried to make the best of what I had, but it just wasn't working, and I could give a lot of reasons for that. I could lay a lot of blame if I wanted to, but ultimately, things changed, and it just wasn't meant to be anymore, as they say. I don't believe in that anymore. I don't believe in that there's one special person for everyone. I don't believe that, you know, you're meant to necessarily be the same person forever. If things don't work out, they don't work out. You just got to move on. It ain't that big a deal. Some people make it out to be a bigger deal than it really is, but it ain't a big deal. I mentioned something about it on Twitter, and people are like, "Oh man, Fox, I'm so sorry to hear that." I'm like, "Don't be. Don't be. It's a great thing. It's actually a really good thing." There are always negatives to splitting up, especially in a long-term relationship with kids, but sometimes it has to happen. It is what it is, as they say. So, I have not been playing as much of the video games as I used to. I've been doing a lot more, what should I say? I've been doing a lot more socializing, hanging out with friends and other people, and just kind of enjoying the some aspects of life that I hadn't before. And one thing I noticed is that I sort of had this period of time where my interest in video games waned, and that really is going to happen as you get older. For those of you that are still really young, if you're like me, you just play games. But when I hit college, or shortly before college, is when I had the waning. There's waxing and waning, you know, like the moon. My interest in a lot of different things waxes and wanes, and same thing with video games. So there'll be times where I really, really feel like playing games for a little while, and it's a great, I hate to use the word escape, but it's a great fun time to sort of indulge a fantasy. And then there are other times where I just don't feel like playing, and even if I have a ton of extra time on my hands, instead of playing video games, I'll, you know, do some work around the house, fix some things that need to be fixed, do some cleaning, do some organization. I try to always hit the gym on my regular schedule, of course. Sometimes, like, maybe go for an extra jog, or ran my first 5K recently, which was pretty cool. I used to jog a lot more than I do now, a lot more, but it is what it is. Here we go. I kind of got into cars, believe it or not, for those that have known me for a long time, and I recently reconnected to an old friend from high school through social media. He was just absolutely shocked to find that not only was I kind of into cars now, because I never was before, even though he was. Hey, we don't care about that, Death. That don't mean nothing. He was shocked because not only am I into cars, but I'm also driving a stick shift. I'm totally 100% into the stick shift now, and I don't want to go back to automatics. I needed a new car, desperately needed a new car, and so finally got a car. I was driving this old piece of crap from the early 2000s that was just falling apart, because I never really cared about cars. They never really meant much to me, but you know, I do care about a car in terms of whether it can reliably and safely get me from point A to point B. And also, my previous car was an old two-door car with like no features whatsoever to speak of. Didn't even have power locks or windows. And you know, trying to drive around with my son in the car seat with a two-door, you know, we'd end up bumping our heads trying to get him in the back there, and it was just a pain in the butt to do that. And then the AC wasn't working properly, wouldn't reach the back, and so when it's hot out, that kind of sucks for my son being back there. And the crash safety rating on that car was real low, and you know, I never used to even think of or care about crash safety ratings until I became a father, and then suddenly that stuff mattered. So yeah, if it doesn't matter to you, that's totally normal. You know what? I think I got most everything I want here. Let me go ahead and use the Firekeeper's Soul, and we will progress through the normal areas of the game. Reinforce. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. What's her name? Anastasia? Anastasia? Oh my goodness. How many times am I going to keep doing that? I keep hitting right bumper for run. Running around with my shirt off, just like I'm at the house. That's just how we roll in Dark Souls. Let's practice some of these. Oh, still got it. After all this time. I also played Remnant from the Ashes. Interesting game. People did compare it in a lot of ways to Dark Souls, and there are some valid points of comparison. It is definitely not a Souls-like. It just clearly takes some inspiration from Souls concepts. So it's just interesting that the Souls series has really done a lot to influence games, and it's pretty much created what is essentially a new genre. Although you might really refer to it more as a sub-genre of game, because the third-person action RPG already existed, obviously. He takes 3 shots. Oh, yeah, there we go. Love this weapon. The one-handed R2 thrust is an excellent, excellent attack, especially if the enemy is weak to a thrust attack. So, and it's also good for in narrow, confined spaces like this, right here. All right, now in the old game, these rats, like especially this one, would often fall through the floor. I have not gotten that to happen in the remaster, so yeah. Enemies would occasionally fall through the floor far more often than they did on consoles if you were playing the PC version with DS Fix, because it had to do with the frame rate and collision detection and physics. It's really, really sad that even now we still get developers that are tying game physics to frame rate. That is such a stupid, terrible, terrible practice. That is just an absolute big no-no. You just don't do that. You don't do that. But you know what? They're still doing it today. Just unbelievable. But, you know, what are you going to do about it, right? One-shot kill on those with the R2 thrust. So there are also some other options in the remastered version when it comes to matchmaking, online matchmaking. It's easier to hook up with the same people using password-protected matchmaking. So they've added a lot there. There's a couple other convenience features. Like you do have the, let's see if I'm not going to get attacked here. You do have the ability to go into your inventory, and if you want to, you can use multiples of the same item. So you didn't used to be able to do that. If you had 15 souls of a lost undead, you would have to pop them 15 times, one by one by one by one. So that is no longer the case now. That's good. It's just far more convenient. We can get rid of those guys before they bother us. And I think they took care of a few other problems in the game, although they left in quite a few bugs and original glitches. They did seem interested in fixing those. Not sure why. I guess their focus was elsewhere, right? Unfortunately, there still isn't a way to like fast climb up ladders using stamina. I had hoped that they would add that, but they didn't. Now, onto the DS Fix issue, and like I said, I know, you know, to those of you that are only console players, this probably doesn't really matter to you at all, and you don't know what I'm talking about, but this third-party mod allowed you to do a lot. It allowed you to install other mods, and where that is now kind of an issue is that if you're playing the remastered version, and I believe that's the only version that's now for sale on Steam, I don't think you can buy the old Prepare to Die edition. If you get DS Fix, it's not going to work on the remastered version, and obviously, I mean, you kind of don't need it. But DS Fix allowed you to use other third-party mods with Dark Souls. So if you modded the heck out of your game using all these different mods from Dark Souls, the Nexus website, then you can't use those. So if you go to Nexus, this game is now just like Skyrim. You have the original with all of its mods, and then you have the new version. So in this case, it's the remastered, but in the case of Skyrim, it's the special edition. You can't use mods for the original Skyrim with the special edition and vice versa. So you have to keep track of two different sets of mods for two different versions of the game. What that means is that if you really, really enjoyed a specific mod for the original game, but it's not out for the special edition of Skyrim, then you have to make a decision. Do you just, well, not have the mod and play the special edition, or do you play the original version with the mod and miss out on some of the benefits of the special edition? So, big decisions to be made. Big, difficult, tough decisions, right, guys? Let's, you know what, let's just go ahead and do that. No, oh, I don't want to cancel. I want to do it. Confirm that reinforcement. Reinforcement. Let's get this guy. One thing they haven't fixed is that you will generally bounce off of walls and objects in the game when you attack. So if you're in a narrow confined space and you try to attack, you might do this and miss your target because it bounced off the wall. The issue I have with that is the enemies do not suffer this same problem. Their attacks just float right on through and hit you. So it ends up sort of handicapping you in a way that it shouldn't, and I don't like that. But, you know, it ain't the end of the world, but it would have been nice had they resolved that one way or another. Preferably make the enemy's attacks bounce off the walls, but maybe that would have created some enemy AI issues. By the way, this guy here can drop a battle axe if you want one, so that's where you can farm it. I actually don't know where else you could get a battle axe. I've never really thought about it. I think the... does one of the classes start with a battle axe? No, they start with a hatchet. Maybe. I don't remember as much as I used to. By the way, the dried finger, instead of being in the painted world of Ariamis, is now here. Available for 2,000 souls very early on. So that's good, you know, for multiplayer purposes. It's great to have that. Resonance key's 1,000, so let's pick up the resonance key. I don't really know if it's gonna matter for us, but we'll do it anyway. Popping multiple souls, something you couldn't do in the original Dark Souls. Speaking of which, there is one issue I'd like to address, and that is, let's see, repair box 3000. We'll pick that up soon. So a lot of people talk about the Souls series, and one thing I hear a lot, and sort of bothers me a little bit, it's one of my pet peeves, and people do this with a lot of different games, is they say something like, oh, you know, in Dark Souls 1, yada, yada, yada. And I'm sitting here going, you know what, guys? There's no such thing as Dark Souls 1. There is no Dark Souls 1. Gosh darn it, that was terrible timing on my part. There we go. Now, a lot of people might even get offended by this, but yeah, you don't need to say Dark Souls 1. Just say Dark Souls. And if you're referring to the series, you could say Dark Souls series or Souls series, or it just will be obvious from context. Under no circumstance, in any way, shape, or form, is there ever really any valid reason to be talking about Dark Souls 1. Oh, we made it. Yay! Okay. This is where we can get, I believe, what, a crossbow? A crossbow? I thought there was an enemy up here. I guess not. Yep, the light crossbow. Don't want that heavy one. You want to keep it nice and light. I'm kidding. You can get either one. Whatever works for you. Let's see. We can drop down from here. Let's, look at that. Oh, not quite a plunging attack. Oh, well. This guy is so ready to hit you with the fire bombs. Just be careful. Well, I guess this guy could probably drop a battle axe too. I think any of them that have a battle axe are capable of dropping one. So, yes, if you're referring to Dark Souls, you can just call it Dark Souls, not Dark Souls 1. There was never a game called Dark Souls 1. You can look everywhere. It has never been labeled as Dark Souls 1 officially. The packaging doesn't say Dark Souls with the number 1 next to it. It just says Dark Souls. Thank you very much. So, would I recommend for you to play the original Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition on PC, or do I think you should play the remastered? Well, unless there are some mods that are specific to the original version that you just absolutely feel like you have to have, I would highly recommend the remastered because you don't run into all of the jankiness from having to use DS-Fix. And when I say having to use, I kind of mean that. Obviously, you don't 100% have to use it, but if you don't, you're really missing out. Playing Dark Souls on PC without the mod, DS-Fix, the original Dark Souls, is just terrible. I mean, in terms of how it looks like crap. It has an internal rendering resolution of sub 720. I mean, it's not even full 720. It's not even full 720 on Xbox 360. For those that don't know, it just looks blurry and crappy, and the frame rate is this low 30, and it actually doesn't perform very well either. Surprisingly, for being such low quality, the performance sucks as well. Just really, really poor port is what it is. Now, better to have a bad port than none at all, I believe, but especially when members of the general gaming community can create mods to fix some of the issues created by the developer's bad design. We shouldn't have to, but at least that's an option. Now, if they'd never made the game at all, then obviously nobody can make a mod for a game that doesn't exist. Very glad that the original Dark Souls came out. Also happy that we have the remastered, although it really, really should have been so much more than it is right now. Sad to see that the remaster is as lackluster as it is. There's just so much more they could have done with it. There's so much more they could have fixed. And we'll get into those details as we progress through this playthrough of Dark Souls 1. Just kidding, Dark Souls. Alright, unfortunately, actually, you know what? I'm going to add a little more coffee to my mug. It'll dilute the creaminess of it, but it'll restore... There we go, restores the heat. As far as AI goes, I don't think any modifications were made to the basic enemy AI in the remastered version, and I'm quite alright with that. If you guys have noticed any, let me know. I haven't. But then again, it has been a while since I played it. I'm not as much of an expert as I used to be on it. I kind of got to refresh myself. There was a time when I'd played this so much, almost on a daily basis, that I just knew it really, really well. Now see, in the DS Fix version of this game with the 60 FPS or higher, this guy would actually kill himself when he kicked over the barrel. The barrel would actually burn him, and he'd die, and then he'd usually end up falling through the stairs. So it's nice that I can play through the game now at 60 FPS, which is the minimum acceptable frame rate for this kind of game, and not have to worry about jankiness like enemies accidentally killing themselves and falling through the floor. So we definitely want to kill Havel, although he's not the easiest guy to kill. It does take a while, and it really increases the likelihood that we're going to end up dying from it. The other great thing is these quick slot bars right here, or quick slots, quick item use slots, whatever they call them. They don't automatically fill these with new items you pick up. That's something they did in the original game. I absolutely hated that, and I talked at length about how they need to not do that. And lo and behold, they fixed it. And when I say fixed, I mean fixed. That was just flat out broken. I hated how they did that. I just didn't understand why they would do that, what they thought they were doing. No, it was not helpful in any way, shape, or form. It was just annoying. Got him! Only problem is this guy can pretty much kill us. He can one-shot us. We gotta be careful even with these backstabs. Got him. Alright, really depend on backstabs here to do any significant amount of damage. Blocking is important because he can one-shot us if we don't block. Alright. I would not try this without being locked on, although there is some jankiness occasionally to how you follow an enemy when you're doing the good old rotational backstab fishing. What was that? I don't know what that was, but it's done. I'm really close to killing him. It's always tempting to use another one of the gold pine dust, gold pine resin, whatever it's called. But I'm just a little reluctant to waste it. Shit, shoot! That's what I said. I just see? You look how close he got to burning through all of our stamina, and that's with the shield up. I noticed that it's best to circle around in one direction and not the other. Always circle to your right, not to your left. That just doesn't seem to work well, circling to the left. For whatever reason. Got him. You can also throw some fire bombs at him, if that's your thing. Although you'll waste them. You'll waste them. You're not going to do a significant amount of damage with them, and you'll just burn them all up. No pun intended. All right. Shoot. Not bad. This is not bad, guys. This is not bad. I'd talk about something more significant during this time frame. Oh, shoot. Wow, that was close to me dying. Very close to me dying. Look how close he is to dead, and I almost died. That would have been an absolute shame to have died so late in the fight. But you know what? I win. Celebratory gesture. Let's open this up. And that, my friends, leads into a magical, wonderful world where we won't go right now. And I'm just going to swing my sword because I'm forgetting what button is the run button. Never liked the fact that the Souls games like to double up functionality on the B button or whatever button it is on your controller. But that's, I don't know. I don't have a better solution, really. These games often have a few too many functions for a gamepad to handle. And doubling up on one button means they do the same thing if you're using the keyboard as well. They do the same thing with that keyboard. Gosh darn it. This is just really annoying. Oh, there we go. Oftentimes, the reason you can't hit those things is that your enemy just ends, your character just like swinging over them, around them, by them. Gee, you know, with 4,500 souls, I probably should have gone back to the bonfire because that's going to be a lot to lose here if I die. But you know what? I just have to have confidence in myself. It's just about confidence, guys. You have to have self-confidence. All right, well, there we go. We got these. Oh, light crossbow. Okay. We got that gold pine resin. We're going to turn around and run back the other way and do the plunging attack as our first attack on this guy. Some people like to do multiple plunges. I usually only plunge once. Do you plunge twice? How many times do you plunge? By the way, if you stay up here, he will come and get you. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't stay up here. Wow. That's a good, like, solid 1/3 or maybe slightly more. Oh, what a punk. Oh, shoot! I don't want to die. So let's S this up. Come get me. Come get me, bro. Come on. And don't fight by that gap right there. Because, yeah, you'll fall off. So it's a good idea not to fight by this gap in the wall. You can be knocked off the ledge and killed instantly. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We've come a long way. In such a short period of time, let's go hit the bonfire, shall we? In Dark Souls Remastered, let's activate Fire Breath, bro. Wait, did we? Did we activate it? Is he coming? Oh, he's coming. Here he comes. Ooh, barbecue. Wow, in the remastered version, you get to see just how shitty that looks. That is one shitty, shitty texture. That's terrible. Looks just absolutely awful, doesn't it? Say yes twice, get the item, and get on down. Skip all that. You don't need to listen to that. It doesn't matter. Alright, let's try not to get burnt. Or is it burned? There's a difference. It's grammar, guys. It matters. Alright, we're going to hit the bonfire and call it for the day. This will be episode 1 of Dark Souls Remastered. FoxeoGames style. Oh, kick that ladder. And then don't use it. Oh, because I don't have to. Let's level up first. Endurance. And I'm going to save the rest because I'm going to go buy something with these souls. Yeah. Oh, by the way, in the DS Fix version, if you sat down at the bonfire and got up too quickly, you could actually get stuck at it. That sucked. That doesn't happen in Dark Souls Remastered. Episode 1 is done. The one and done club. That's me too with kids. Have one, I'm done. Not having any more, can't have any more. You can figure that one out, guys. I'm Fox with FoxeoGames. If you enjoy this, please give it a like. You can subscribe if you haven't already. Make a comment below. Let me know what's going on. Let me know if you enjoy it. And yes, I've brought my Let's Plays back to my main channel. I'm not going to have a separate Let's Play channel because I can't keep up with one channel, much less two. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for joining me. And as always, hang on. Social media links in the description below. Follow those. And as always, I will see you guys next time.